Tutima are one of those brands that you don't see on Instagram very often. You don't see a lot of videos and articles about them for one reason or another. However, they have a very long history of making some amazing tool watches. And today I have a very cool watch to show you. This is the Tutima M2 7Cs in titanium with a signal orange dial. Now, this is not the packaging that it normally would come in. This is a travel pouch. This was lent to the channel by the brand, and I am very excited to show it to you guys because I think it's a really good looking watch. I also think it's a really well-made watch as well. Now, as I mentioned, it's a titanium watch, so the entire watch is bead blasted titanium, and you have that signal orange dial. It really stands out against the case, sort of a muted case with a very bright dial, and I think it works really well. So as I mentioned, fully titanium. So you have a titanium bezel, case, and bracelet. The bracelet is sort of an integrated bracelet. It's one of the nicest features on this watch. I really love the bracelet. They make it on a strap as well that has sort of a color match to the dial. However, if you were buying this watch, I highly recommend this bracelet for a few different reasons, and we'll get into them in just a second. However, you could see it's sort of an H-link bracelet. It feels beautiful, it's nicely finished. However, it's domed on the outer portion of the bracelet, and it's flat on the inner portion of the bracelet. Very cool look, very different, something that you don't see very, very often. I mentioned it's an integrated bracelet, but at the same time, really not an integrated bracelet. You have drilled lugs here. You have very short lugs, and you have a 26 millimeter lug span. So essentially, you could take this bracelet off and put on any 26 millimeter strap if you wanted to. You have an end link here that just fits directly onto the case and integrates the bracelet to the case so well, it almost looks like an integrated bracelet. And that's why I say it's really an integrated bracelet, but at the same time, it's kind of not. Now, bezel is also in titanium, case is in titanium. As I mentioned, everything is bead blasted. The only thing that is not bead blasted is the case back. I'll show you that in just a second. Let's listen to some bezel action, and then let's do some measurements really quickly. So the bezel on here is actually very nice. It's 60 clicks. And for a titanium watch with a 60 click bezel, it actually feels very nice. It's very solid, and it sounds very good as well, which is not really the normal feeling that you get from titanium on a bezel, especially if it's 60 click, and this works very, very well. I like it a lot. So let's do some measurements. This is a 44 millimeter watch. That's what they say it is. However, it doesn't wear like a 44 millimeter watch. It actually wears a lot smaller than that. And you can see that the lug span isn't incredibly long on here. And I'm going to do some measurements very quickly just to show you what I'm talking about. So the case measures just about 44 millimeters. I've measured it a few times. I've gotten under 44 millimeters and I've gotten right above 44 millimeters. So I would say it's spot on at 44 millimeters. The bezel itself, if you're just measuring the bezel, it's just under 44 millimeters, so 43 and a half almost. So that's at the bezel. You get a flat sapphire crystal. It's just very, very slightly raised off of the bezel, but not a lot, maybe just a fraction of a millimeter. Thickness on here, actually pretty thin considering that this is a 500 meter dive watch. You get 500 meters of water resistance and a 13 and change, just over 13 millimeter thickness. That's really good. You get a little crown on here. It's not huge. It's not bad, but it's not, you know, it's not big. 5.8 millimeters. It is long and it's very grippy. They have very good knurling on the crown itself, so it is easy to grip. You do have crown guards, as you can see there, which actually guard the crown. It is signed as well, and you do get drilled lugs, which is really a very nice option on there. So let me do the lug span. Now the lug span on here at the case itself is around 40, I want to say it was like 44 millimeters when I measured it. So 43.9, so very nice size right there. On the strap, this would wear at that 40 44 millimeter lug width. So that's lug span, excuse me. So that's pretty incredible. So it's basically 44 by 44, sort of like a square watch. And then if you measure with the end links, now the end links are male end links, you're getting 52.5, so 52 and a half. But they do turn down pretty abruptly from the case, so it actually wears smaller on your wrist than a watch with those said dimensions. So it's actually a lot smaller than those dimensions on your wrist, and I'll show you that in just a second. Really quickly, case back, as I mentioned, the only polished part of the actual watch, and that is the case back. It's just a ring that is polished, and then the boat right in the middle right there. Looks really good. 7 Seas theme here. And it just gives you a little bit of information on the watch. You know, it's made in Germany, titanium, and then 50 atmospheres. Everything is bead blasted. Even the scissor is bead blasted. The buckle is bead blasted. You do get micro adjust on here, so you get 4 positions of micro adjust, and then you get a fully milled diver's extension, which is really nice. Something that you don't see very often, which I really like, and it is really solid. Listen to this. Very, very solid. You have these very long oval buttons, so it's very easy to operate on the bracelet. Really nice bracelet. I am very impressed with this bracelet. I believe it's push pins on the bracelet. I actually did not need to size it because it was sized for my wrist when it came. And then you have the dial. The dial is very legible. You have raised indices. They are just sort of painted with lume, and I believe you get superluminova on here. And then of course the hands are also filled with superluminova. They're painted with superluminova. You get the day and date. The day is actually in English or German, depending on what you want. And then all it says on the dial is the logo there at the 12 o'clock or right below the 12 o'clock. And then below or above the 6 o'clock, you have 50 atmospheres. That's it. That's all it says on the dial. You have a chapter ring, which is a 12-hour chapter ring, I believe. Everything lines up very nicely. You have a very large pip on here. I believe that is loomed as well. We will do a loom shot at the end. So inside this watch, you are getting an ETA movement. So they have used an ETA movement in here, not a Salida or something like that, which is great. I really do like to see that because the ETAs are harder and harder to get for brands like this. And that's a really good thing that they went the extra mile and got an ETA movement. So it does have a 2836 inside, which is great, and also has a custom rotor. If I could find a picture of that, I'll throw it up. Obviously, you have a closed case back on here, 500 meters of water resistance. So it is a closed case back, but it does get a custom rotor. Even though they're closing the case back, that's pretty cool. Now, price on this, I believe this on this bracelet is $2,300. And then if you get it on the strap, it is $1,900. $400 more for this bracelet, I think, is worth every penny because it really is a very, very nice bracelet. I'm going to throw it on my wrist so you guys can see. But I think for an independent brand that is made in Germany with an ETA movement that's all titanium, I do think this is a very good price. These are not watches that you'll see every day. And that's a good thing in my opinion. I think there's tons of watches out there. You're going to see tons of them on people's wrists. They constantly are posting them on Instagram and things like that. And this is something different, something special. Yes, it has an orange dial. That's great for diving if you want to use it for diving. It's a versatile everyday watch and it's good looking. I have to say, I really like the look of this watch. Let me show you what I have on my wrist. I'm going to throw this on my wrist and then we're going to do a quick loom shot and then wrap up the video. I've actually been wearing this. This is a very comfortable watch. Let me show it on my 7.5 inch wrist. Today, I'm wearing another watch with a 26 millimeter lug span. Yes, this is a dress watch with a 26 millimeter lug span. This is my Roger Dubuis Monegasque. This is a watch that is they say is made for the people who live in the Principality of Monaco. I live in New York, so I got away with it, I guess. I don't know. I guess anybody could buy it, but it is an 18-karat rose gold watch from a brand that I think is not getting enough recognition. They make some pretty awesome watches, and they have been for a very long time. But not a lot of people love them. This is Roger Dubuis. I love it. Like I said, 26 millimeter lug span. And let me put it next to this watch. As you can see, this is a 42 millimeter watch. This is a 44 millimeter watch. Their lug span is pretty much almost exactly the same if you include these male end links, as you can see. And I can actually do that measurement very quickly for you just so you can see what I'm talking about. But they're very, very close. 48.8, so just a little bit off, but this is a 42 millimeter watch, but visually they almost look very similar in size. But very quickly, let me throw the Tutima on my wrist. I have a 7.5 inch wrist, and you can see it does not wear like a 44 millimeter watch, especially the lug width. It actually is very, very short on my wrist. Perfect, actually. And it has a very thick look at the case on the bracelet, and then it tapers all the way down at the buckle very, very nicely. And I don't know what that lug span, I mean the span of the bracelet at the actual case. So 20, basically 21. So from 26 to 21, I think that works really well. As I mentioned, 44 millimeters. You have a 52 millimeter lug to lug. It's 44 if you measure at the case. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. It's just about 13 millimeters thick and 500 meters of water resistance, which is pretty awesome. All bead blasted, grade 2 titanium, so very light on the wrist as well. Very quickly, I'm going to charge the watch with my UV light, and then we'll do a lume shot. I'm not sure about the lume on this watch. I've never actually checked it out, so let's check that out really quickly. Well, I'm actually impressed. There are very large indices on here, so there is a lot of surface area for lume, but they did liberally apply it with lume. You have a big pip here at the 12 o'clock to give you orientation on the bezel, and then you have sort of these beaver teeth at the 12 o'clock, which looks really good. I think they did an excellent job with the lume. I'm actually very impressed for a somewhat of a major brand, let's call it, because they are a small independent brand, but they've been around for a very long time making watches. So technically, I would say they are a major brand. This is pretty good. $2,300 on the bracelet. That's how I would go. $1,900 on a strap. The strap looks really good as well. I definitely want to have more Tutima on my channel. I want to get more German watches in general. I really do like this watch. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I like the style. I think it's something different. It's not something that you see every day. It's a 500 meter sort of integrated bracelet watch that just looks different. It has its own style. I really do like it. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of the brand? What do you think of this watch? I want to hear from you. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I also have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.